Welcome to the Profit Talks podcast, hosted by the Orange County Inland Empire SBDC Network, funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. This show is the go-to resource for business owners seeking empowerment, education, and resources to succeed. Join us as we connect you with experts, share the triumphs of fellow entrepreneurs, and reveal the wealth of assistance available to you today to level up your business. So let's go. Let's dive in and learn more. Wow, and I hope you brought your notes with you today here or your notebook, because we're going to give you lots of notes to fill up about some resources you may or may not know exist. For startups, isn't that what we talk about all the time here? All the startups here in Orange County. We have with us today here, let's bring him in, John Wiet. He is the relatively new, executive director of the LaunchPad, SBDC LaunchPad, Small Business Development Center LaunchPad, hosted by OCTane. That's a mouthful.
It is. You get used to it.
You get used to it. All right, so let's dive in and talk a little bit about what that is. Let's start with LaunchPad. This is an SBDC, a Small Business Development Center of the, whatever they got, 9 or 10 in the region here. They've got an import-export, a finance center, a contracting center, and then standard centers where you can just go get a consultant and talk about whatever you want to do, starting your business, growing your business, adding to your business. You specifically talk about startups. What do you guys do? And then we'll talk about how you fit into OCTane and the whole startup ecosystem here in Orange County. What is it you guys do?
Yeah, I think that's good context. LaunchPad, as an SBDC, sits within a network of about, I believe, 9 other centers.
Mm-hmm. I think it's 9 or 10, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great, powerful network. And LaunchPad is unique in that it serves a very specific demographic for a specific purpose.
Right.
And what that is innovative startup companies, usually in med tech or general technology fields.
Right.
They've had that initial proof of concept. Maybe a minimum viable product. Maybe there's clinical research that is exciting and say, hey, we have something here.
Right.
Let's go secure some investment capital, usually that seed Series A round, to add fuel to the fire and grow this venture into something bigger and larger. That is where LaunchPad comes in, and we assist those founders and those companies in through that process of capital raising and growth.
Not like when they had UCI, we're at UCI's Applied Innovation Center. We'll talk about that part of the ecosystem and stuff here too. But UCI, many schools had some sort of, they call it the Wayfinder program. If you were a student, for example, and you have a great idea, they'd give you a little knowledge and a little mentoring, maybe even a little money, some space here for a period of time. That's typically when I think of places you launch and start up, you have nothing but an idea and somebody helps you hone it into something that then you can go out and test and see, will people invest in it? Will it work? Do you get your proof of concept and people? You're waiting after that. You're taking, they've already got the private money, the angel money, their friends and family money. Somebody invested. They came up with an idea. They got it to some kind of proof of concept thing, and now they want to take it bigger, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. There's that initial signal of traction has already been displayed by the founder, by the company, by the product, right? And depending on the field, what that traction looks like can be very different.
Right.
They're not all created equal. So yeah, that's exactly the stage where we come in where, hey, you've invested some of your own money into it. You know, you've knocked on the doors of friends and family. You've gotten the idea off the ground.
Something tangible. Whatever. Now, if it's medical or med tech, now you got to go through this whole round of
regulatory.
Yeah,
clinical.
I can't just take it to market process. And open up my app or something here. Yeah, it might be a 10-year process or something or more.
That's exactly right. And every industry and even every vertical of each unique industry has its own characteristics and timelines and, again, what traction looks like. It's not universal.
No. And one of the struggles I have, we're in this bill. UCI itself is known for many things they focus, but med tech and medicines is a big part of what they do. They got, what are they building? A new ophthalmology school and lots of medicines and technology to do with medicines and stuff here. You've got Allergan and big companies floating around, Edwards Life Science and all this stuff in the general ecosystem here. So I'm surprised Is there a real investor base? I hear this all the time, that I came up with an idea. They're generating the scientists, they're generating the research on campus, or they're like here at UCI's Applied Innovation Center, a place where they take technology and try and turn it into something. And that's just off campus in the research park, and it's a kind of, I was thinking of it as this halfway house where technology or academia meets. It's part of that same place. But they're not really trying to help you raise money or take it to the level. They're offering things that you can't get. A wet lab, for example, in the ULP up here on the University Lab Partners, a place where you can go experiment with drugs. You can't apparently just go rent a space down at the Spectrum and say, oh, let's start opening up genomes and playing with viruses and stuff here. No, you have to have not just the technology to investigate it, but secure it to all the EPA environmental regulations. Stuff doesn't get out and contain it and everything here. So they've got that kind of, it's another level of research that you start to take this company to the next level. But they're not bringing in money. Do you guys bring in money?
Yeah, we absolutely. Our value is that we try to increase the likelihood that you'll receive capital and decrease the amount of time that it takes to securing that capital, right? And let's just be clear, raising capital, it's hard.
Oh,
it's
particularly for this stuff because we're in Orange County.
Yeah.
Everybody, a lot of money floating around, big money. Most of it came from real estate. You're in Texas. Most of it came from oil and gas. Or you're in some other place. Most of it comes here. It's mostly real estate. How do you convince all those wealthy people, deep pockets, who've built high rises and offices and housing and commercial and all the stuff that they built, where they've built their wealth, and to take it into something that's very intangible, that's a long-term process we got to go through various stages. It's a promising idea, but will it really pan out in clinical trials? Will it really pay? That's a long process. Is it difficult to get money into these things, or do you have to find a very educated group of investors?
You do have to find an educated group. Finding an investment partner is a lot like dating.
You don't just show up and the girl appears?
You don't get married to the first person that walks in the room. And it takes time. It takes effort. It's matchmaking. There needs to be alignment between the founder, the company, the CEO, and who's giving them who's writing these checks and wants to see them grow. You need to find that alignment, and oftentimes it happens in various ways. You need to build an emotional bridge that connects that investor to your story, to your company, your product.
You're
right?
talking my language here, your story. We're going to delve into this because when I came into this building, I know very little about raising capital, and we started interviewing people. We do all these podcasts, live podcasts, radio show, whatever you want to call, online radio show. And we started bringing in VCs and people that have raised money, or people who are looking to give money, and Tech Coast Angels and other people like that come in here. And what surprised me is I thought it was all just the pitch deck. I've identified a problem. I think I got a solution. And as long as the solution pays off big enough, that promises 10 times your investment, 10x, it's a big enough payoff, you're just going to give me money. That may get your interest. That may get you in the door. Not how do I know you're going to pull this trick off? Because as they keep saying, I'm betting on the jockey, not just the horse. Yeah, you've identified a problem. You got a possible solution here, but are you going to pivot? Are you going to adapt? Are you going to change? Or are you going to be bullheaded and stick to your idea even if the market says this doesn't work?
Yeah, I think if investment decisions, especially at this stage and in this demographic of company, right? Again, you're talking seed, Series A, still a lot to prove for these companies.
But they've spent years on this thing. This is my baby. I believe in it. And don't tell me it's got to be different or I got to focus on some other part of it. No, this is it.
Some multiple or some promise of return, sure. That's ultimately what motivates the writing of a check, and
because it's high risk, so I got to get a high return.
Absolutely, but your job, as I think, when raising capital as a CEO and as a management team, is to ensure that whoever you're speaking to at the other side of the table, they are bought in to the problem that you're solving.
Clearly.
Have them emotionally drawn to the problem,
and to believe that you are the magician that can pull the rabbit out of the hat.
That's stage two. Is if you can convince an investor this is a problem worth solving, your next step is, and I'm the one that has the ability to do. If you can get those two pieces down, and it's different depending on the audience, right? You can't treat friends and family like you would an angel group, like you would a large institutional venture capital fund.
Right.
Your approach needs to be carefully and thoughtfully tailored to that audience.
Yeah, but it's a story. When I got into this, I kept saying, "What's your story?" I want to interview them. What's your story? The story of LaunchPad. Too often, story is just stats. We raised $80 million. We opened 47 companies. It's a 10 times X return. It's this and that. It's all numbers. Okay, great. The numbers got everybody's attention. But everything sounds good on the numbers phase. How do I know that this is really something that's going to work and that you're going to make it work? You're not going to quit. You're not going to bail. You're going to be not going to be difficult to work with. You're going to pivot if you have to. There's a lot of changes that go on. It's like writing a script in Hollywood. The first idea isn't necessarily what hits the screen.
And I'll give you an example of that where we met with a company. They applied to LaunchPad, were accepted to the program, and it's a company called RX Post.
Okay.
And what this company does is they have a software platform that basically optimizes inventory management and the sharing of surplus drugs at pharmacies to other nearby pharmacies that are maybe running low on certain prescriptions.
Interesting. Who knew that was even a problem?
I'll tell you how the CEO knew it was a problem. She was a pharmacist for 18 years. She had thrown away thousands and thousands of pills.
Because they expire?
Because they expire, because it's protocol, because it's safety, all of that thing. When, could be 4 blocks down the road, there's another local pharmacy that can't get their hands on the prescription fast enough.
Right.
So it solves a problem for pharmacies, for patients, and it decreases the expenditures on the healthcare system as a whole, right? So, again, that's the type of business and entrepreneur that I have faith in. If I'm an investor, right? If I'm evaluating
they know the market, they understood it.
They're solving a problem that they noticed on a day-to-day basis, and they can speak to the intricacies of how certain aspects of this software and how the business should conduct based on that, right? So that's a great example of you're getting me bought into the problem. And I have confidence that you, as the CEO, you can execute on this. You have the relationships, you have the experience, and the mindset to do that.
So many companies, though, get everybody's attention, get a bunch of money in that first round, and then blow it. And now they got to recapitalize, go get it again, because they didn't know how to run a company. They had a great idea, they were scientists, but they never hired people or managed teams, or they were unwilling to admit maybe their original idea was wrong, and the market really is more intrigued with this than that, this part of it than that part of it. Talk about that fallout. People throwing money at the wall at these things. Sounds good. I'm intrigued. I like you. I like what you're doing. And then, oops, doesn't work. Do you guys help them with that? Do you help them execute this? How to turn an idea into reality? Is there some work that you put into this? Or is it just strictly matching people to money and trying to raise awareness for these companies?
Yeah, I think capital, right? That's where we can assist you. That's once you secure capital, your job's not done, right?
No, that's what they all think. They go get the car and they get the thing, and I got it, and we got $5 million round and everything. There was a guy in the building here, and he rounded a couple $1 million, and then, oops.
Yeah, no. As part of what we do at LaunchPad is we break down every aspect of your business model and of your strategies with our team of advisors. So that could be, we talked about medical and clinical strategy. We have folks on our staff and our advisors that have years and years of experience of getting products through the FDA process.
And that's a whole other level that most entrepreneurs don't have to go through. I come up with an idea, gadget, I make it, I go on Shark Tank, they give me some money, I go to Walmart and start selling it, whatever.
But there's so much nuance and shared learnings that can be provided to entrepreneurs living through other people's successes, failures, and copying playbooks, right? And so...
You mean you don't have to make the same mistakes everybody else is making? I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time? Maybe I can learn from others?
Yeah, but to your point, it's not just matchmaking for dollars, right? That's important. That's required to grow business.
Clearly.
But to execute it, that's where the advisement from our advisors, our consultants, and our mentors, like I said, they break down every aspect from clinical to regulatory to go-to-market and commercialization,
I always
financial
assume
modeling.
That once you get past the angel, friends and family, at some level, somebody's going to give you a bigger check, and they're going to take a bigger say in the company. And that may be, sorry, but your cousin's got to go. Wing Lam was on here talking about the growth of Yahoo Tacos. He said, that was a real difficult moment. We're a bunch of surfer dudes. We're doing this for fun, and suddenly it's like a serious business, and it's growing. Yahoo Fish Tacos. And we got a bunch of them. And suddenly the dudes I was hanging out with, the surfer dudes who put their life sweat into this, they didn't know how to do
Yeah.
inventory control. They don't know how to negotiate leases. They don't know how to secure better pricing. And some of them had to go, and that was not a fun moment here. And some of them were his family.
Yeah, there's certainly this adage, and I think it's reflective in reality as well, that certain CEOs, management teams are better for certain stages of company,
Yeah.
right? Some people are better at coming up with a concept and an idea and turning
Hyping
that,
it, getting excited, getting everybody pumped up.
yeah, versus some are more, to your point, numbers driven. I know how to maximize profits.
Yeah, or
right.
operations or
Exactly.
human hiring people and stuff.
And the visionary who comes up with an idea, sells early stage investors on ideas, and gets that off the ground is usually a very different profile to the CEO who, we're doing $1 million in revenue, let's get to $5 million and improve our margins by 10%.
Exactly.
Those are very different profiles, and you should, as an investor and as an owner of a company, you should want to put someone in the best position to succeed for that company, right?
Yeah,
it's a harsh reality to face sometimes, and
you may not know how to do it either, so you better hire the talent around. Who says that the dreamer is also the doer?
yeah, and I think making wise decisions with capital once you receive it, and who you surround yourself with, what the responsibilities are, it goes a long way towards avoiding some of those mistakes, those blow-ups that you were talking about, right?
I don't know how often it happens, but I think that's baked into the equation of how risky this is, because a lot of these people, great ideas, maybe they're a great scientist or a great salesman or a great visionary, that doesn't mean they can execute the dream and get it done, and they often waste a bunch of money and start fights, and partners start fighting, or employees start fighting, or friends and family start fighting, and all the. And suddenly, we got to get past that and get serious now, because we've got this is beyond just a fun little business.
Yeah,
this is something big.
Think about it from the investor perspective. If you're a company, if you're a venture capital fund investing in early stage technology companies, let's call it seed or Series A.
Right.
To your point, you said, I want that 10x return, right?
That seems to be the magic number they all look for here.
What does that also mean? That also means that only 1 of 10 investments needs to hit for me to break even, right? Think about what it means from their success rate, what they're projecting to you. This is inherently risky. Failure is, unfortunately, the default. I would compare it more to a batting average in baseball.
Yeah.
Right?
How many balls do you really hit?
Exactly right. Not every company raises capital. Not every company that does raise capital can execute with that. It's a long journey, and surrounding yourself with resources, people, the right advice at the right time, hugely important towards not towards achieving your best goal necessarily, but you'll avoid the worst case.
Yeah,
that's there's survival is the name of the game. or in early stage.
Live to play another day.
Yeah.
All right. So now I've read and heard and talked to people who've come in here. Lots of different ways to get you over to that next level. You go get some friends and family. You do some crowdfunding with your customers. You maybe find that lucky angel, like a Tech Coast Angel, is going to write one big check for you here, and it gets you $1 million or $2 million, and you're off and running. Now, you got to get to the level where you got to get some Series A funding, or whatever you call this, the next level. Now you're going for 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 million, something bigger here. And the stakes go up, and the questions go up, and the risks go up, and all that stuff. There are companies called accelerators, and you join them, and they'll take a piece of the action and ride with you. And they try and get you up quickly, because their whole thing is to accelerate it, because they want to spin it off and sell it and get their return. Or there are people... Michael, I don't know if he's still around. Michael Sawitz used to have some kind of accelerator startup. He had built a successful business himself. What was it? Mailbox, etc., or something here. And he didn't take a piece of anything here. And that model, I don't think, succeeded. I think he ended up doing it because it's hard. Do you guys take a piece of the action and then start telling them what to do? Or is this just funded by the SBDC, and if you get accepted, it's all free?
Yeah, no, it's the latter. We're funded by the SBDC and by OCTane, and our mission is to promote economic growth here in Southern California by supporting these businesses to obtain capital, hire folks, grow their reach,
revenue. Those are the three things I hear all the time on this SBDC podcast. Show you hired somebody, some of you grew your revenue, and some of you grew your business somehow here, tangibly.
Exactly right. And so again, because of that, because of our supporters, our mission, it's no cost, no cash fee, no equity component of any company that is accepted.
Because there's a lot of them that's not true, right? They want cash up front, and you got to pay back this, or you got to give us a piece of that.
The standard model is you can, from several of the accelerators that are on the market, is you'll get anywhere from $50,000 to $250,000, but you'll give up 10% of your company, if not more, along the way. Right. And for some companies, that makes sense. I started off by saying it's matchmaking.
Right.
It applies here as well. Certain programs at certain times make sense for companies.
Right.
And this isn't to
what
disparage
dating site do you go to?
Yeah, this isn't to disparage some other models. They can all be additive.
There's some places, a friend of mine actually paid one of these. He was a very successful attorney. He went and paid one of these, whatever, It's Just Lunch or something here, giving him a shout out. And he paid him a ton of money to find him a match. And by God, he did find a match, and he's still married to this day. I don't know if that's the norm, but he paid a bunch of money to find Mrs. Right here. Some of them, no, let's just go on, whatever, findamatch.com or something, or any of these. It's all over the place. How much money do you want to spend? How intense? How much one-on-one? But you guys are working. Do you work with them one-on-one, or is it group? Is it just group training, or do you work on a one-on-one?
We provide one-on-one mentorship and consulting from our team of advisors. We also, I'm a strong believer in the power of team coaching as well.
Yeah.
Especially with the mission that we have, because varying perspectives there's not one right way to do it.
Yeah, not just one playbook of how to get money and be a success. Right?
No, there's certainly not. And I like co-consulting. I like that team aspect because,
the cohort, we're all in it together, and
exactly.
We're monitoring each other and giving each other advice and stuff.
Exactly right. So, I think there's a lot to be learned from the masses.
How long does it last? How do you pick people? How many you got in the program? Give me a profile here. Give me some numbers. I said I don't want numbers, but give me a few numbers here.
Yeah, we are a rolling admission basis, so we don't have defined cohorts start and stop.
Okay.
We're also
many do. You got to wait till the next one opens up, and then it's 6 months or a year or whatever. There's another slot. Yeah.
Yeah, we come as you are, and if it makes sense, we'll work with you at that time. Again, rolling admission. It is self-guided. We don't have a defined. It takes 3 months. You need to drop everything, and you have this defined curriculum over a 3-month period.
Or you get kicked out. Can you get kicked out of this thing? Because some of these programs, if you don't perform, you're gone.
Yeah, and we meet the company and the founder where they are. We don't shove them in a box, treat them all the same. So it's self-guided. Some companies stay with us for 3-4 months, some much longer than that. And I wouldn't want to sit here and say every company should be treated exactly the same and given the same playbook, because I don't believe that. And
I just want the simple formula. Show me how to make a fortune with my idea here.
Yeah,
if only it was that simple.
If only, it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make that come to life.
All right, and how many do you work with at any given time? Is there a cap on this? Sorry, we're filled up, or?
So we typically work with about 60 companies a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
Again, some of them require more intense one-on-one work and resources dedicated towards them. Others are more self-sufficient, let's say, and they take the teachings and the learnings from our team and from our processes, and they implement them quickly and themselves.
Do you ever fire them? Do you ever say this isn't working? Do you ever say, sorry?
No, we typically don't.
Give up on them?
No, we're here to support, right? That's our mission here.
But clearly there are probably kids that get more attention in the classroom because they're really exceeding and they're really eager and they're performing well, and so you naturally, you're human, you'd start gravitating, wow, these people are going to...
What I'd say to that is the more you put into the process, the more you'll get out of it.
Yeah.
And I think whether it's LaunchPad, raising capital, or your own business, I think that principle applies.
So how did you get into this? I should have started with this question. You don't look old enough to know all this stuff here. Come on, I want to see gray hair. I want to see 50.
You have to deal with my baby face, Paul. I'm sorry. So I have a background in investing and entrepreneurship. So I started about 12 years on the investing side when I was based in Chicago. out of a few different funds, most of which, a large majority of my time is at a family office that invested in clinical stage biotech and medtech companies.
Okay. Was it your family? Or
No, this was an office in Chicago.
this is Joe Pfizer Jr. here or something, or whatever.
I wish, Paul. I wish. No, so that was my entry into kind of this world, and I got the itch to become an entrepreneur myself and co-founded a digital health company in 2022 alongside a few other teammates, and we launched a product to help patients before and after surgery by basically providing them health coaching and care coordination services.
Okay, and then did you have, what's the magic buzzword when you finally sell it? We had an
exit.
Yeah,
the company's still operational. We're doing really well. And I talked about different founders at different times. I loved the building. I loved that 0 to 1 aspect. And like I said, we built our product. We're successful in raising some capital from some larger institutions, which was great. And now it's on to commercialization.
Way back when, you asked me my life story, and it's mostly radio, and then that turned into podcasting. But there was a moment where I built and ran and owned some restaurants and bars, because I'm Irish after all. I had to try that. And then I had one or two that were successful, and other people hiring me to help them come up with a concept, or mostly to get it approved and through the cities and the liquor and all the stuff here.
Sure.
And I loved that stage of it. When it actually opened the door, I was done with it, because that's when the problems, that's when people steal, that's when fights erupted, equipment broke.
It's a different job.
It's a different job. I hated the running of it. I loved the conceiving of it. That was really, I was out of it by that time. So yeah, I can see you're somewhere in that stage between the concept and the running of it. There's another stage or two where we're trying to refine it and raise money and learn what it is.
Adapt and take all the signals that from your end users, from your customers, from the folks that support you.
And not everybody adapts well. A lot of the VCs come in here and say, that's one of the things I look for. If you're real bullheaded about this and insistent, I'm my way or the highway.
Coachability.
I'm not going in, because what if the market says, that doesn't work? I'm from the Midwest. I grew up with the story of 3M, where they would let these people play a certain amount of time developing their own projects, the people developing products for them, and the scientists and stuff. And somebody, I don't know if this is really true, but the story is always somebody came up with a really bad glue. And they thought, what do I do with this bad glue? It comes off real easy. It doesn't leave any residue, but boy, it doesn't hold much, maybe a piece of paper. And somebody developed that into stick-it notes and stuff.
Yeah, Post-it notes.
Post-it notes, that's what I'm trying to say. And 3M invented that out of a failed glue. It was a flop until somebody figured out to pivot, and there's a better use for this than whatever they were trying to come up with here. That happens all the time. All right, how do they reach you? How do they find out more? This sounds too good to be true. There's an entity out there that if you get accepted, will work with you, won't give up on you, and we'll
no equity, no cash compensation, nothing.
It's too good to be true.
You get access to some incredible advisors. We have about a dozen advisors.
Do you get a space to work from too, or no?
No, everything is virtual. Okay. That's our structure.
Okay. How do they reach you? Get into this program? Are there others like this all around the country? Does the SBDC do this everywhere?
It's unique. As you started off introducing the SBDC, across the country, a large majority of them are traditional centers that help, help you generate your first business, be it a bakery, a laundromat.
A lot of them are mom and pop kind of businesses.
Yes,
and stuff,
and they do incredible work to set you up for success.
Yeah, not all of them. They help some launch some bigger ones, but mostly it's a restaurant, it's a bakery, it's a dog.
There are a smaller number of tech centers, which is what LaunchPad is, that have a different angle and specialization. LaunchPad's unique. There are a few others in the country similar, but at least in our geography here, it's an incredible value add.
And it always has to be hosted by a university or some other entity. I do some work with the podcasting as a little side gig, and some of the clients want to help do podcasting. I work with different regional centers or the marketing center, which is a specialty center like the contracting center. You guys are hosted by OCTane, right?
Yes, and OCTane is an economic development organization based in Newport Beach.
Big players and the big people funding it to help, again, grow regionally the economy.
The large strategic folks like you mentioned, Edwards Life Sciences, J&J, right? Those are the backers of OCTane, and they...
J&J, I always love that. Johnson & Johnson. But on the just J&J. Just J&J to you, yeah.
And they have just a incredibly powerful network that support their initiatives, be it events or...
They do a lot of events. They do an ophthalmology conference.
Yeah.
They do some other...
They convene the best in the industry, right? They're very deep vertical events like ophthalmology, cardiovascular.
Right.
And they convene the best of the best for those events.
So as part of this, they host you guys, whatever that entails, and under their space, place, whatever. Do you work out of their offices?
I do, yeah, a few times a week. Yeah.
Is there over at the Great Park or something, I think? Or no, they've moved to Newport or something?
Exactly. They've moved to kind of by the airport, by John Wayne.
Yeah, because they were, I think, at the Great Park. They were here for a while at UCI, and then they moved around. All right, how do we reach you? How do we find you? That's the question everybody keeps saying. Quit talking, Paul. Just how do I get this thing?
Yeah, there are two ways. You can go to OCIESBDC.org.
Which stands for Orange County Inland Empire Small Business Development Center. You won't remember all that. Just remember all the letters. OCIESBDC.org, because it's an organization.
Or you can go through OCTane, octaneoc.org, right? There's applications to apply on both of those sorts websites. They work together.
And there's no cost. I don't have to pay a fee. There's no competition I got to win. There's no combat. I have to have mortal combat with each other and kill the other guy, slay the others, and then I'm the last one standing in this. No.
There's no gladiator.
That's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
There's no gladiator
in a room
games.
And then one comes out. Yeah.
No.
All right. And then is there a certain size company? You're looking mostly for med tech and medicines, but will you take other sorts of businesses? And again, what's the size limitation? I can't have grown past a certain point?
No, I would say, to your point, we work with medical technology, be it life sciences or devices or even software in the medical field.
Right.
That's about 60 to 70% of the companies that apply to LaunchPad. The remainder is technology, and that could be clean energy. It could be a lot of software development.
A lot of software.
A lot of software.
An app, a thing. Yeah.
Applications. It could be B2B software, right? So solutions for enterprise customers to help them run their businesses more effectively, right? That's a very common.
I bet a lot of AI stuff. I bet a lot of stuff has AI in it these days here. Everybody wants to know how the robots are going to do it for us here.
That's exactly right. And to your point about size, we add the most value to companies who are seeking to raise that first round of institutional larger capital,
which is typically what, 5-10 million,
less than that. I would say about $1 million to 10 million is that sweet spot of what they're trying to raise in capital, but we've worked with plenty of companies that have raised less than that.
Yeah.
So it's not a one size fits all.
And typically it lasts how long? 6 months, a year?
6 to 8 months is an average there, but it's self-paced. Right? There's a few milestones we help work you towards.
And they have to commit a certain amount of days and hours to this. They can't just show up whenever. I guess maybe they could, but they're not going to get much out of it.
That's exactly right. You get out what you put in. And there's a wealth of resources, talent, and mentorship that's available to you.
It sounds too good to be true to everybody listening. It's because it is. Oh, my goodness. You've been doing this a while. Give us some, if not names, numbers. I know you're dying with numbers. How many, because you have to go back to the big SBA, Small Business Administration. How much do you generate? How many businesses have you created? Give me some numbers here.
Yeah, so I think our network, the OCIE network, we've achieved almost all of our 2024 goals in terms of business starts. I think it's over 500. In terms of the numbers are staggering in terms of the impact of the network. The amount of capital that we've helped raise is well north of $100 million. And so
this isn't just some wannabe. This is real.
Yeah, the impact is real. And so we're excited to continue to support companies along their journeys.
I'm excited to have you in here because I think it's a well-kept secret. I think within certain circles, you're very well known, but to the general public, I'm not sure they know that these resources exist or how the game is played. And I encourage them to call and find out more. Can they call you, or are you like in some secret tower? Do they just go through the SBD? That's why I said to, what's his name who runs the Tech Coast Angels when he was in here. I said, you're like this secret club. I got to know the handshake and special knock to even get in the door. I don't even know where the door is. It's a speakeasy. It's behind a wall here somewhere. Are you secret? And
I am
hidden?
not. My information's out there on websites. I will be responsive. You can call me, email me. My promise is you'll get a response.
Okay. Well, we're going to hold you to that. Thank you, John Wiet, for joining us here. I am excited to hear. I'd love to have you come back and bring some examples of some people that you've launched in the, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around what it is. I think if they came in and said, here's what they did, and here's why I wasn't sure, and I didn't know if this was going to really work, I think that would be of even greater value.
It'd be great to give you a case study and really dive into the nuts and bolts of it.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks,
the
Paul.
SBDC's local LaunchPad. Go check them out. As we conclude another episode of the Profit Talks podcast, we hope we've empowered your entrepreneurial spirit. Reach out to us to connect with our experts, and let's take your business to the next level. Keep those dreams alive, keep pushing forward, and stay tuned for more. And if you liked what you heard in today's podcast and you want your business to reach new heights, just contact us at profittalkspodcast.org or call us at 1-800-616-7232. That's 1-800-616-7232. So until next time, keep thriving.